I was tired the day before my accident. My dad died in November 2013, which devastated me. I worked nonstop in 2013 to 2014. I was working hard, going to school, getting my sons to sports, practice, band, and music, assisting my husband with his business, and running my own business. I was fatigued. I told my oldest sister, Tammy, I'm exhausted. I want somebody to cook for me, clean, bathe me, exercise me, massage me, and just take care of me. I was thinking of a private yacht voyage to the south of France, but I never mentioned that. I said I needed a break and was so but I never mentioned that. I said I needed a break and was so passionate about it since I was exhausted. I sometimes overdid it, not thinking I was exhausted, but just pushing myself. It was Friday 24 hours after I told my sister. I usually went to my mom's place on Saturday nights to do her hair for church on Sunday morning. I left my mom's house late. Driving home with my sons Adam and DJ, I was about 1,000 feet from my house. I reside in a rural location with a 2-lane street, and a black little automobile was in front of me. A huge truck, maybe an F450, was going south as I went west. It was traveling south as I went northwest. I was driving when I heard a voice say, "Look up." I looked up and saw someone driving toward me on the opposite side of the street, but their head was down like this, and I was like, "Oh my God." Then I saw them go over the yellow line, and I pulled over immediately. My son asked, "Mom, why did you pull over?" I said, "They're going to have a wreck, and I don't want to be a part of it." In the rear seat was my baby. 5th grade for my youngest son. He went to 5th grade in September from 4th. After the August 14th collision, my son climbed out the rear seat out the window. In a top jag, the truck slammed me on my side. I didn't feel it, but I shared photos of the automobile collision on Instagram. The car was unrecognizable, so I asked my son for aid. During the screaming, my youngest son, DJ, shouted, "Mommy, stop, just wait." A woman handed him her cell phone to call my husband, so he came over to the van to help me. But my feet were stuck between the brake and accelerator. I don't know why I put my right foot on the brake and crossed it while stopped. Unsure why I did that. Her car impacted the stop and accelerator, trapping my left foot above my ankle. I was in and out of consciousness. I merely closed my eyes when I was unconscious, and sometimes you see darkness or nothing. Just like that. I felt like I was in my elementary and junior high auditorium. We went to the auditorium for several programs, and the aisle was sloped, so I went front. Although I was unconscious, I knew I was in the front aisle and front row because I put my hands on this smooth surface. I felt like I was on stage. I was at the LA, the first seat, in the first row, and I couldn't go further because someone was next to me. They weren't visible. I couldn't see anyone, but it was like the auditorium when we were kids or a movie theater when the lights were dim. That was it. Very dark. A hazy glow was visible far away. It was dull, almost like before sunrise but nightfall. The dark color was hazy, but that wasn't my focus. I knew people were around me, but I didn't hear or feel them. I heard choir singing. You could tell they were there even if nobody was talking. You could sense them. There is no secret what God can do. He'll do for you what he's done for others. His arms are extended, calling you. No secret what God can do. Most wonderful song. It was so lovely, I still feel it. The choir sounded like hundreds of voices, but I couldn't see them. I felt them singing in me. The choir swayed while singing. Since I was swaying with them, I knew. I clapped and sang along. I could feel love, pleasure, happiness, and tranquility. It was so beautiful. I'd never felt that kind of love before, ever. It felt I'd arrived home. Like a wonderful experience. Although I didn't see anyone, I could sense them. I could sense the chorus, but not see it. It was full of amazing affection. I've never felt anything like this. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize I was unconscious. I knew nothing. I knew I was in a peaceful environment. All around me was love. The place was stunning. Nothing like this, I remember. This happened when I sang in the choir, right? Like I was watching this lady because she was shaking me from behind to wake me up, right? I saw myself singing and swaying in the automobile. I saw myself singing. The woman in the back tried to wake me up by yelling, Don't open your eyes, they're going to cut the top of your car off. But I kept swinging and singing. I saw myself singing and returned to the choir. In this sanctuary of love and calm, they had all these people working on me and had to put a hoist around my body, which my husband took photos of from afar. After they carried me out of the car, I shouted and returned to my body because my hip joint split from my body, which was incredibly painful. I lost 6 pints of blood because I didn't know my head was busted. So when the airbag broke off the door, hit my head, and came out of the steering wheel, I have images of my bloody face. I had no idea because I was in love and peace. God saved me from all the suffering since it took 2 jaws of life and an hour to get out of the automobile. They spent 45 minutes cutting doors and the car's roof to get me out, totaling an hour. I was taken to the hospital in an ambulance with my 2 sons. The arm of my oldest son was busted, requiring stitches and other treatments. His arm was behind him since it dislocated from his shoulder, under his shoulder blade. They hospitalized me and did a CT scan. My femur broke in 3 places: knees, ankle, feet, hips, my arm. I broke my arm several times and had a metal plate in a skilled nursing facility. Before all happened, I was at ease in the hospital. I was fearless and never cried. I sensed divine love. I sensed a divine love. I felt calm. I sensed God's love, not fear. I didn't cry or fear my obstacles. I'm sorry, it was a beautiful sight, and no one told me I had blood on my face or head in the emergency department. I felt each staple as they reattached my ankle and head. I screamed at each staple, but they'd given me all the pain meds, so I was in peace even though I was in misery. Before taking me to emergency surgery, because it was midnight when all this happened and they got me to the hospital, they waited for the surgeon, and when he came and did all the surgery, my husband was nervous and crying, and my sister was crying, but I was at peace. Peace like that has never been my experience. It was a great place to feel God's love. Before surgery, I prayed for the surgeon, met the anesthesiologist, and said a prayer. I was out, and they woke me up in a lot of agony. After 5 days in the hospital, I lost 6 pints of blood and had to learn how to walk again at a skilled nursing facility. I didn't learn to walk in skilled nursing facilities until later. I was diapered, so they had to take care of me. They bathed, shampooed, and fed me since I couldn't. Therapy involved leg and arm exercises and massages to improve circulation. I said, "Father God, why? What happened? Why am I here? Why this happened to me?" Then it said, "Remember what you said. You want somebody to cook for you, clean for you, bathe you, exercise you, massage you, shampoo your hair." I asked, but I didn't mean it like that. And it came back to me, "Well, that's how you said it, and the power of words. You say what you say is what you get." So sometimes we speak from a place of passion, but not meaning something to happen like this. But it comes to you because words don't return void. They come back because you're the owner of the words. So the most emotion when you get more emotional about something you said, "Oh, I need this. Oh, I'm so exhausted. I need a break." I didn't want to get several breaks, but it took a while. On a wheelchair due to non-weight-bearing injuries. After many breaks and fractures, I couldn't force my toe off something, so I used a sliding board. I had to transfer from wheelchair to hospital bed. I had a hospital bed at home and nurses and therapists coming to aid me. From the wheelchair to the shower chair to the bed, I used the wheelchair. It was hard for me to experience this because I've been an entrepreneur and self-employed since 18. I work hard and do lots. Before my injury, I fed the homeless, helped people, helped elderly, worked, volunteered, was a mother, wife, and suddenly I had to lie still. Nothing I could do. I'll skip forward. My spouse bought a restaurant in 2015 while I recovered. The restaurant his brother had owned since 1963 was about to be sold. Buying it to keep it in the family was his decision. I needed aid. That was the worst thing he could have done. After a few years, I would visit the restaurant and operate the register, answer phones, and take orders. I didn't know where I got a gift when I transitioned. The present I received exceeded my expectations. When I was working at the restaurant, a woman and her husband came in, and I felt this warmth on my side of my face. That love I felt when I transitioned. And I was like, "Oh my God, what is this? What is?" And it felt really good, like when I had transitioned. I said, "Oh my God, I know this feeling, right?" And then I felt all this at the same time. And I said, "Excuse me, can I say something?" And they said, "Yes." I said, "I feel ancestral energy connected to you, right?" And then in my head, I'm saying, what the heck did I just say? Ancestral energy. I've never used that word before, and I've never even heard of the word before. Connected together, ancestral energy. I'm like, what is ancestral? I'm saying in my head, what did I just say? And I said, I see this little lady. She's about 4'2" or 4'3" feet tall, and her hair was like a brunette, and she had her hair curled, coming towards her face. And under in the back, she had very thin hair, and she had a personality like this. And I saw some clothes that she would wear, and I described her personality to them and how she pinched his cheeks. And he said, "Oh my God." He said, "You're not going to believe this." And he said, "Ask his wife." He said, "Hand me my phone." So he got his cell phone out and he showed me a picture. He responded, "We just left her, my grandmother, at the cemetery." I screamed, "Oh my God, how did I know that? Where did that just come from? How did I know that?" I went to the kitchen. My son said, "Let me tell you, something weird just happened to me," and they were like, "What the heck?" I answered, "Yes, I don't even know how I knew it," and Spirit began teaching me. The restaurant became my classroom. When customers came to the restaurant, I knew them. I would feel their loved one's energy with other people until I understood what it meant. Then something else happened, and the same thing happened with different people until I understood that vibrational energy. Right and left sides would include feminine energies, grandmother, mother, auntie, sister, friend, and then baby vibrations. It would affect my right male energy and other things. I believed learning for a few years was the worst thing that could have happened, yet it prepared me to discover God's gift. When I crossed over, I got this gift to help bereaved people heal. As I learned that, new gifts began to emerge. At the restaurant, I would tell them what I felt, and they would cry and be delighted. I met people who lost children and parents. Many wonderful events allowed people to heal since they don't know what happened to their loved ones or their newborns or children. Death is not final. I would communicate what I saw or felt, and it was on time. And I was like, wow. I was dizzy when a lady came in while I was working at the register at the restaurant. I'm never dizzy. "Oh my God," I said to my husband. "Darling, I just got dizzy." He asked, "What's wrong?" I said, "I don't know. I was feeling fine, and all of a sudden, I got really lightheaded. I was scared. I was like, what's going on?" When the lady left, it went away, and I was like, oh my God. 2 more women entered a few days later. I was in front at the restaurant for a bit. I became dizzy and my head was swimming when the lady entered the restaurant. I remarked, "Darling, I just got dizzy again." And since it was just me and him, I couldn't leave until someone came to the front. So I heard something say, "Ask them which one of them is dizzy." So I said, "Excuse me, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Which one of you guys is dizzy?" And the lady said, "I am." I said, "Oh my God." Then I felt something in the back of my ear. I said, "You should not let your sister drive like that. That's really bad." She said, "How did you feel that?" I said, "I don't know, because that was the second time that happened to me. And whenever I had one experience, another one would happen, so it was another part of the gift." When we talked earlier today, I felt a young woman's father, her grandfather, who was ailing. Because of my symptoms, I questioned her, did he have a certain illness? And she responded,